whatever you wind up doing is exactly what you should be doing.
And I have not behaved one single day of my life. Not one day of my life have I behaved, and I am fine.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're gonna hurt some people.
Whose car are we gonna take?
Good morning. Hello, and joining us on the Nikki Medoro show on this very, very cold Monday. Maybe that's why my computer is being a big old pain in the butt, Kim. It's just a bit cold outside. Yeah, Vicky, hi everyone. It is a beautiful day, but really very cold. Yes. Morning, Doug. It was frosty on my morning walk, he says, but sunny. Good day to stay indoors and listen to your favorite podcast. Very true, my friend. And Brian says, what's shaking, everybody? 41 degrees out there. Whoo, that's cold. Yeah, it took me 5 minutes, at least, to get my windshield clear enough to take my daughter to school this morning. My son rides his bike. He can't seem to find his gloves that we just bought him. And he's like, it was 35 degrees, 36 degrees when he rode his bike to school this morning. So, yeah, it's a bit chilly out there. Blue Spark says, I love to hear how miserably cold it is in places like LA or San Francisco. It's in the 20s where I am, so it's hard to be very sympathetic. Folks in places like this are just used to it. It's just winter. Yeah, I have one of those, wood signs in front of homes that have messages and stuff. So I just flipped it from Merry Christmas to Hello Winter. Sure as hell feels like it. How many people are heading to the snow? So, today is the day that they're advising you to go. Yesterday, I guess, was awful on the roads, so you wouldn't have wanted to go then. My husband, I remember I told you guys he got me one of those space heaters to go under my desk. I haven't moved it here because I've been enjoying having it in my bedroom.
Ooh,
so it is, Kim, it is instantly hot. I mean, it's so, I have to sit away from it, and I have it on the oscillating mode so it moves around, because it's toasty. It starts at 85 degrees. And I'm like, hoo-wee. So I just keep my doors shut, and I stay in there, and I watched the Golden Globes last night. And then I open up my bedroom door. I'm like, oh, it's cold in the hallway. I want to go back in my bedroom.
I was trying to find the video. Did you see the video of, this car accident, multi-car pileup?
35 cars on I-5 or something like that,
That was the one on I-5. I'm talking about the one in Tahoe.
Oh, no, I didn't.
Cars were coming down this incline, this kind of decline, I should say.
Okay.
And they were hydroplaning on ice and smashing into each other at the bottom. And there was it starts where there's, I want to say, 4 or 5 cars already smashed in. And then you can see more cars coming down, and they bam, and people are yelling, and a bam again with another one. Yeah.
That is scary. I mean, there's nothing you can do at that point. My husband and one of his really good friends years ago was in a truck, and it was kind of the same thing. They started, sliding. They couldn't stop. So they just kind of turned into the snowbank, and then they just had to sit there as other cars kind of did the same. You're just a sitting duck. And so just really be careful. Obviously, bring chains, people. You have to, be prepared and do all those sorts of things. So yeah, it's dangerous if you're going to go up to Tahoe. Today is supposed to be a nice day for it. They got some snow, much needed. It hasn't been that cold up there, so they haven't been able to really keep the snow on the ground. So if you're going to go enjoy it, but be safe. All right, we got a ton of stuff to talk about. We'll touch briefly on the Golden Globes. I do want to get into, obviously, that American Airlines flight where the door, I love how they call it a door plug. It's apparently planes, they need multiple exits even if they're not using them. So that's kind of what these plugs are for. It's not funny. I'm glad nobody died, but I can only imagine if I was on that plane. And there's many things that this flight was lucky about, and we'll get into that. We'll update it. And again, how many of us know what plane we're flying on? We know the airlines, right? But how many of you really dig deep to see, am I flying? Now, this is the 737 MAX. But Boeing has had a number of safety problems in recent years. So, and I mean, I know they make most of the planes, but geez Louise. A little closer to home, we'll talk about some new California laws, including this one where your local bar and nightclub is going to be required to offer roofie tests. So we'll talk about that. How do you stay safe at the bar? Anybody want to share any stories of, do you cover your drink with a napkin? Do you have your friend? Do you never let it out of your sight? Are you constantly holding it? If you're a bartender, have you ever seen anything crazy? You can let me know in the comments. I mentioned this on Friday. Yesterday was the busiest day on the dating apps. And I just feel like dating apps are, I don't know. It's not like they're so 2023, but I can't tell you the number of people who have said, I'm done with them. I'm done with the dating apps. I want to meet people in real life. If you have any experience with that, also let me know. And then I forget who sent this to me, but interesting story about PepsiCo. Their products are being pulled from some stores in Europe, some grocery stores. Why? Because they cost too damn much. We're like, we're not going to put these on our shelves if the price is too high. Now, I'm not saying that everything that PepsiCo produces is unhealthy, but we are talking about chips and soda and things like that. And there's a new study that finds cities with soda taxes saw sales of the sugary drinks fall. If it costs more, people are going to buy less of it. And similar to how we were talking about meat and everything like that last week, is that a bad thing? I mean, I know fundamentally for Pepsi, they don't like it. But for us, is it so bad to make it that when you go to McDonald's, that burger is going to cost you $10 when it used to cost you $5?
No, I mean, that's just, you have to expect that. You're not going to sell as many of them if they cost more.
But my question is, shouldn't they cost more? Because there is a cost to eating unhealthy food, a health cost, a health system cost to unhealthy food. And I don't know how many of you have watched it, but when we talk about this a little bit more, there's a new Netflix series that I watched. I binge watched it yesterday. And I don't know why I do this to myself, Kim, because it's not as if I eat very healthy, but I loved it because it's called You Are What You Eat. And it's based out of Stanford. So it's kind of cool because you see like Mountain View and Palo Alto and everything like that.
I was reading about that. It's about the twins, right?
Yeah. So they did a study of twins and they focus on 4, but there was a ton of them. You see them at the last episode. And it was basically 2 twins. One follows, and this is important, one follows a vegan diet, but one follows a healthy omnivore diet or a meat and dairy diet. Okay. So it's not as if they're like only eating the worst kinds of meat and having steak every night. It's a balanced, healthy omnivore diet compared to a vegan diet. It doesn't take a genius to figure out which one's better for you, right? But I'm telling you, Kim, and I am a meat eater. I unabashedly so, but I was literally sitting there yesterday and being like, shoot, I really need to change my diet. Like, I'm not saying going completely vegan overnight. But when it's not only what they do to the animals, even though that should be enough, and that is enough for so many people. It's the literally disgustingness of not just meat, not just chicken, fish, Kim. Some people are like, I'll be a pescatarian. Not when you watch this. I never want to eat farmed salmon again. Never want to eat farmed salmon again. I don't know how you figure it out if you go to a restaurant. I hope that it says it. Not that wild caught is better because obviously the nets and everything and it catches. That's why the Dungeness crab season's been delayed so much, right? But shoot, wild versus farmed. Farmed is disgusting. And so I urge everyone to watch it. We'll get into it a little bit, but before we do any of that, go ahead. What?
Why do they say that? Is it just because the fish are packed together, swimming in their own grossness?
Yeah, that's the nicest way of putting it. But what happens to these fish, to their bodies? And then they wrap it up and they put it in the grocery store and we eat it. And it's so gross. It's gross. It's so gross. Like, it's really disgusting. And I can handle a lot. I subscribe to the understanding that food mass produced is never going to be as clean, healthy, whatever, as if, you have your own chickens, you're getting your own eggs kind of thing, right? If you're on a farm with 2 cows and one's for milking and one's for eating, obviously that's the ideal way of doing it. The animals are treated well. They live a long, healthy life. They're eating the food they're supposed to be eating. They're slaughtered in hopefully a humane way, if that's what you choose to do, right? Mass produced meat, fish, poultry, disgusting. Awful, terrible. Like, it's so gross. And I hate saying it because I like steak. And being honest, like, I like meat. I like to eat meat. It's delicious. But, the options out there for people, I think I want to incorporate more of them into my diet. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going to go full vegan. Although I don't want to do it all right now, but there's options that are very attractive. And so I'll give some of them to you. And if anybody's watched the series, let me know. All right, let's click the thumbs up button before we get to some of Kim's headlines. Also, the super chat is live. Just look for the $sign under the live chat box, and you can donate that way. A big thank you. We had a bit of a surge in those that have either joined for the first time or have bumped up their donation on their Patreon, and I cannot thank you enough. We are 100% crowdfunded, and we do need to make, more money. I'm just going to put it bluntly. This show needs to make more money to continue going. And so if you can just sign up for a Patreon, it's a one-time a month payment, whatever you can afford. We don't want to break you. We know times can be tough for a lot of people, but if you can go to thenikkimedoroshow.com, click the Patreon link, and it's a 1-month donation to the show to keep it on the air. We do take PayPal. Just go to paypal.com and hit send. And the email is thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com. We have merch at our merch shop, and any way that you can support the show, we really do appreciate it. Even if it's just telling your friends and family and getting our subscriber numbers up. I mean, whatever you guys can do, we really appreciate it. Myself and Kim, and thank you guys so very much for supporting the show. Okay, we'll touch a bit on the Golden Globes and the missing door plug on the Alaska or American. It was American Airlines or the Alaska Airlines. I think it was. Hold on, I want to get it right. Alaska Airlines. Alaska Airlines. We'll get into that. So much more. But first, let's take a look at some other headlines that might include that as well with Kim.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
Well, let's start with millions of Americans under wind, snow, and blizzard or flood alerts as winter storms move across the country. Talk about cold. 9 states in the plains and the west are under blizzard warnings today. This comes as there's the possibility of flash flood and tornadoes from Texas to Florida. Kind of makes 35 degrees not seem so bad.
I know. We're such wusses.
I know we really are.
I'm sorry, though. Whenever it gets into the 30s, if it's in the 30s, I'm like, no, that's close to freezing temperature, and I'm allowed to say it's freaking cold outside. Like, I'm sorry. No, 30s is cold. Universally, it's cold. 40s, 50s, which I still think is too cold. I'm a bit of a wuss, but 30s, it's cold.
Chilly. Yep. Former President Trump seeking to have his Georgia election subversion case dismissed. Trump's legal team today asking the Fulton County judge toss out that case, arguing Trump's protected from prosecution under presidential immunity. The judge overseeing the federal election interference case against Trump has already rejected Trump's immunity argument, and an appeals court is set to hear arguments on the matter on Tuesday. Hundreds of Alaska and United flights canceled after the FAA grounded a Boeing aircraft due to a panel blowing out of a plane mid-flight. According to FlightAware, 220 United flights have been impacted, along with about 140 Alaska Airlines flights. All Boeing 737 MAX 9 aircrafts were grounded after that panel flew out of the Alaska Airlines plane's fuselage on Friday. Imagine being the person sitting next to that.
Yeah, well, apparently there was nobody in that seat, and I know it's terrible to say. I was like, not anymore.
Thank God.
No, and I laugh because nobody got hurt. That's the only reason why I can laugh. But can you imagine?
Apparently, a couple people lost their phones,
and they were found.
And
they were found
thousands of feet, and they didn't break.
That's a phone commercial if I've
That is a
they
phone
better be
commercial.
iPhone,
I'm
whatever
like,
phone that is, that's a commercial right there.
somebody needs to do a phone commercial on that because
Heck
that's
yeah.
wild.
Heck yeah.
At one point, the person had been looking up baggage claim information,
Mhm.
right? Like, here's your
Right.
baggage claim ticket number, whatever. And the website was still on,
Yeah.
still
Can you
connected.
imagine?
The website still up, the phone completely intact, found by the side of the road. Wow.
Well, I mean, they were only like what 400 or so feet up. Like they were just taking off when I guess the thing blew off. So it wasn't as if they had not reached altitude, which is why they didn't have, people sucked out of the plane, I would say. So it happened really quickly. So I can imagine, you just sat down, you're putting your phone on airplane mode, you have all your ticket stuff on your phone as if you do, and then all of a sudden your phone goes out of your hand. The plane's falling apart. Like, oh my God, it's so frightening.
I'm telling you. There's a child in the hospital after a sledding accident at a Southern California mountain. An 11-year-old child had to be airlifted from Mountain High Resort Sunday after this incident. Authorities haven't said what kind of injuries the child suffered in the sledding
Oh,
accident. Snow fell to about 3,000 feet in the Los Angeles region over the last weekend.
oh
So
wow.
that's why you have that. Yeah.
I mean, the last time I went sledding was during COVID. It was like the safest thing that we figured we could do is to be out and about in the snow. I hadn't gone sledding in years, I'll tell you. And we went to one of those sled parks where, they kind of have a lip you hold onto the rope and it kind of takes you up, which is the lazy man's way of doing it. It got pretty high. I remember sitting on the sled and being like, shoot, this is kind of scary. We were fine. You can go pretty fast. So I can imagine if there's any sort of collision, you can be seriously hurt. Absolutely.
Yeah. Congressional leaders have reached an agreement to fund the government this year, but they face a stiff deadline to pass legislation and avoid a shutdown.
Mm.
So funding runs out for about 20% of the government January 19th. The rest of the government will only be funded until about February 2nd. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Speaker of the House Mike Johnson made a joint announcement of the nearly $1.7 trillion deal on Sunday. So that's all they got. All right.
Yeah. All right.
House Republicans are preparing to hold the president's son, Hunter Biden, in contempt of Congress for defying a subpoena to appear for a closed door deposition. The committees leading the impeachment inquiry into President Biden will vote Wednesday to bring this contempt resolution for a full House vote. The chamber can then vote to refer the matter to the Justice Department, which will ultimately decide whether or not to pursue charges.
When the Republicans ignore their own subpoenas, they don't really have much of a foot to stand on, in my opinion, in demanding anybody
He
else come to their
said
subpoenas.
he would testify in public, not
Yeah,
private.
exactly.
And they just got their noses twisted because they're like, well, we decide whether it's private or
We
public,
tell you
not
the rule.
you.
Exactly. It's like the parent scolding a child. It's just like, stop it
Do you
already.
think he should be prosecuted for that? Because if the Justice Department looks at him and says, did you defy the subpoena? And he says, well, yes, but I said I'd testify in public and they just didn't take me up on it.
Right. I don't know. I don't know what the legalities surrounding that are. But again, like Liz is saying, waiting for Jim Jordan to be held in contempt. He has been
Yeah.
ignoring his subpoena forever. So
Yeah.
that's my whole thing. It's like, stop acting like this is such a violation. And if we're gonna say that subpoenas should be responded to, then you do it
Mhm.
too. Jeez.
Yeah, they all should, because if you don't
Exactly.
on all of them, then anyone can ignore a congressional subpoena and it becomes toothless,
Well,
right?
and so many things, Kim. That is a perfect word for it. So many things that we thought had teeth don't. I didn't
No,
know that you could just ignore a freaking subpoena and not respond to it. And
good
then
to know,
months
isn't
and
it?
year can go by and you still don't respond to it. I didn't know that people that are literally tasked with following the laws that they help create can just ignore them. I
Of course,
didn't
yeah.
realize that
Now
that's
we
the country
know.
we live in. Yeah, now we know.
Now I mean, next time a congressional subpoena comes your way, don't worry about it.
Perfect.
Fine.
Exactly. I'll be like, well, Jim Jordan didn't do it, so I don't have to
It's
do
all
it.
right. It's all right. Efforts to recall the mayor of Oakland are underway. A notice of intent was
Yes.
sent via certified mail this last weekend to Oakland Mayor Sheng Tao. A retired judge sent the letter, which reads in part, Mayor Tao lacks the competency, credibility, judgment, and ability to lead the city of Oakland. Opponents of the mayor point to the continued absence of a police chief, along with an increase in crime around the city. Tao's supporters point to new policing initiatives that she's pushed along with other new programs. Mayor has 7 days to respond to that notice of intent.
I was going to talk about this in the second hour of the show, and we still might, but here's my question. We love a recall, right? Everybody seems to be getting recalled. Now, on one hand, if there's something really egregious going on, and I will say things have gotten pretty bad in Oakland, right? I mean, every 5 seconds, it seems. This is where I think Mayor Tao has failed. And it's really just two things. The police chief issue. Like, you understand that there is high crime in this area. You already know that, Alameda County's DA, Pamela Price, is facing a recall because they feel like she's ineffectual. And your city doesn't have a police chief. And then you ask for a bunch of names and then you're like, nope, don't like them. And it's kind of like, well, this is a major city with major problems, chick. Like, let's get going on this. Somebody needs to run this police department. And it does stop with her. And she always says the buck stops with her. On the other hand, I do also think that the city is trying to take steps that will require time to see the results of. So are we just pulling the trigger on this recall too quickly? Or are these people allowed to be that fed up that we're going to, in all honesty, put the time and money toward a recall?
So it takes time and money to come up with a list of police chief candidates.
It's been since February, Kim.
It takes time. They have to vet these candidates, right? They hire some type of outside agency to put this list together. This is an expensive endeavor. So when people see, I would imagine the people of Oakland see that no movement has been made on changing the leadership in the police department, if that's what you want to do, or if filling the spot, or making moves forward to make things better, and yet you still are in the same place you were last February.
Yeah.
Nothing has been done.
I feel like she should have just.
Is that ineffectual leadership when nothing is done?
Yeah. It is. And I do think that she isn't allowed. I feel she should have put Armstrong back. I really do. I think that Armstrong, should have been given time to fix, the relationship with the city, with the mayor, basically, because he has so many supporters in the city of Oakland. He's an Oakland guy, born and raised, I believe, right? And so, he has still a lot of support within the community. Put him back and rebuild that bridge. But Tao is adamant, even though he was on the list that was just released, last month or so, to be the police chief. She said no. And I just feel that's ego, right? Like,
right. And is that someone you want in there that can't compromise and get the job done?
I know. It's just they have to do something. You have to do something.
Yeah.
Oakland is a major city with major problems. You cannot have interim chiefs all the time, and then they keep leaving too. It's a terrible situation. It really is. And it does stop with her. I just don't know if a recall ever this quickly after her being elected is the best, choice, but we'll see what happens.
Lastly, rumors of aliens at a Bayside marketplace in downtown Miami are going viral on social media.
This story I've seen all weekend and it drives me nuts. But okay, go ahead.
This comes after a large fight involving 50 juveniles drew a heavy police presence to the area a week ago. Many online conspiracy theorists are suggesting the police weren't there to handle teenagers. Oh no. Rather,
Yeah.
to handle 8 to 10 foot tall shadow aliens. Ooh. Officer Michael Vega with Miami Police is reiterating there were no aliens, no UFOs, no ETs, nothing like that. No airports were closed, no power outages occurred. The phrases Miami Mall and aliens in Miami were among the top 10 searches on X's trending tab on Friday.
Yeah, I was trying to find the video when you were talking. So yeah, apparently some guy was FaceTiming his Miami police officer dad, asking about this. And the dad's like, we can't talk about it. We can't talk about it. The story that doesn't have to do with aliens is that there were a bunch of teenagers misbehaving. They started shooting off fireworks. And so then police thought that gunshots were being set off. So that's what drew so many police officers. If it's aliens, okay. Like, I don't understand. Like, I don't know, man. This is, can we not leave certain things in 2023? Can we not leave ridiculousness in 2023? I really don't want it to get worse this year. But yeah, it was all over my feeds. Oh my God, this kind of response from police over teenagers fighting. And I'm like, obviously it wasn't just that. There had to have been more. And then you scratch just slightly under the surface, fireworks, possible gunshots. That makes sense. That makes sense. People, come on.
I don't know, Nikki. It's an awful lot of police officers responding. More than 60 police officers.
I know it is a lot, though. I will give you that. Was there something else? You know what my mind went to is who was there? Like, who was part of the fight? Whose kid was part? You know what I mean? Like, was there something else happening? Somebody of stature or that they wanted that was part of it? My mind did not, in any way, shape, or form, go to aliens. Sorry, it just didn't happen. But okay.
Okay. So I don't know.
Hold on. Heather's like, I'm not saying it was aliens, but it was aliens.
Let me show you this. I mean, if this is all they've got, this is kind of woeful when it comes to, this is your proof of aliens. Come on.
OCB, ET phoned home and said, at this place. What am I looking at? What is that?
Apparently that's the alien. The circle of the circle is the alien.
I've told you guys this before. I do believe in, if we're going to use the word aliens, fine. The alien. I do not believe we're the only intelligent life. And do I believe that all of the pings and signals we send out from our planet haven't reached somebody and entice them to come to this planet? Yes, sure. But don't go to Miami. Like, you're supposed to go to the middle of nowhere. Like, have we not seen enough movies about alien abductions? They don't go to downtown freaking Miami, right? They don't like beam down there. They go to the farms. They go to where there's landing spots. Somebody just posted on my feed. Do you remember that movie Fire in the Sky? Remember that? It was about this supposed true story of this alien abduction. It was actually a really good movie. I forget the actor's name in it, but he was pretty good in it. Fire in the Sky. I want to say it came out in the 90s or something, but it was about that. And I'm not saying that they're lying. I'm just saying, look, dude, they're not going to Miami. Like,
here's maybe they like Miami. Maybe it's happening nightlife. So here's what the police say at the press conference. All right, guys. So just to address a few clips that are going viral on social media right now. First, the police say, our response to that big incident on Bayside Marketplace, what happened was there was about 50 or more juveniles that were shooting fireworks at people. There was also some looting going on. So officers were on that scene having a little trouble containing it. So they called what's called the citywide 3, which is every officer in the city responded. That's why you saw so much police presence for that call to contain the crowd. Now there's video going of viral of 8 to 10 foot tall aliens walking around Bayside. It's actually just a person walking around with a shadow. So I can confirm to you all here today, right now, there are no aliens in Miami, no aliens at Bayside Marketplace at the moment. Have a great weekend. Yeah.
It sucks. Can you imagine being like a police chief and having to actually say these words out loud? Like, I know he's in Florida, so that explains a lot of it, but just really, it's ridiculous, you guys. I don't know.
At the end of this video of this police press conference, a computer-generated alien appeared next to the police chief, accompanied by creepy music. So he turned slowly to face the big bug-eyed gray alien, who then waved at the camera.
Did they do that? Did they?
Yeah.
It
looks like it. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you kidding me? I mean, that's, if you want to feed into conspiracy theories about that, that was probably not the smartest way to go, but that's actually pretty funny.
Oh, Lord. Oh, this report is crowdfunded and sponsored
not by aliens, though. It is not.
Yeah, the aliens aren't going to save us now, so it's up to you. Find us at thenikkimedoroshow.com, thenikkimedoroshow.com, and that is where the Patreon and the PayPal links are located. So that's where you'll find it all. Of course, the super chat, super stickers are open on YouTube as well. I'm Kim McAllister. This is the Nikki Medoro Show.
I love Square. He's just turned out to be a T-Mobile blow-up cell phone man. Yeah, that's funny. But this, where did it go? I lost it. Oh, hold on. Oh, yeah. OCB. How dumb to call it an alien when it was clearly Sasquatch. Exactly. Or the Loch Ness Monster. And I know people believe in that stuff. I'm not knocking it. It can be honestly fun and a mental test of, what people choose to believe in. But down, in the middle of Miami with all those people around, you think it was an alien? And this is the thing. People don't shut the hell up. So you're telling me that in the middle of Miami, a 6 foot, whatever tall alien is walking around and we can't get confirmation on that? I mean, please, let's stop already. Thank you, Doug, for the $5 super sticker. You are so awesome. All right. Who watched the Golden Globes last night? So
I saw a snippet of
Okay.
Taylor Swift in this green glittery Gucci
Yes.
dress.
She looked
Only
really
she could
good.
pull that off. That dress was beautiful.
It was really nice. So I got in late. So I started watching live when Kieran Culkin won for Succession. Did you ever watch Succession? I believe it was on Showtime.
I didn't
Maybe
finish it.
HBO. Oh, the last season. Oh, the last season was so freaking good. And Kieran Culkin totally deserved it. He was excellent in it. What I loved, and I don't have it, but what I loved about Kieran Culkin's acceptance speech is he kind of plays, I guess he plays himself in Succession, because the attitude and the way he was talking and self-deprecating and everything like that was the same on the show as it was during his speech. He burped like right when he got his like a little indigestion. It was really, really funny. And he thanked people, and he said, decades ago when I was up for a Golden Globe, I never thought, I told myself then, he's like, I'll never be back in a room with these people again. He's like, not that matters. It was just really, I felt honest, and I loved his speech. Taylor Swift was great. Although Joe Coy was the MC or the host or whatever, people are vilifying the dude, saying he was not funny. It is a thankless job to host award shows. I would never sign up to do it because you can't please everybody. He did make a Taylor Swift joke. Yeah, let's see if I can play it for you. It was okay. I mean, here we go.
As you know, we came on after a football doubleheader. The big difference between the Golden Globes and the NFL, on the Golden Globes, we have fewer camera shots of Taylor Swift. I swear. There's just more to go to. Sorry about that.
So I don't know. I thought he made a couple of good jokes. I do think the scripted banter between the other presenters was a little awkward. I didn't find it very funny. Will Ferrell and Kristen Wiig were pretty funny. They did the whole thing about being interrupted by music, which is
I saw the clip. Well, they're making fun of that stupid music, like the little, yuck music.
Yeah, I mean, it was okay. Now, there were a lot of firsts. I was following somebody on social media, and I apologize because I forget who was posting about it, but they weren't happy with the diversity, like Golden Globe still so white or whatever. Although some history was made. Lily Gladstone, she was in that movie Killers of the Flower Moon. She won. I have a picture of her. Hold on, here she is. Lily Gladstone won. She won for Best Actress. And then the Golden Globes.
I'm sorry, but that statue looks like a penis.
Or a vibrator.
That is a really poor, like, who designed this?
I thought that the Golden Globes had more of a, like the rings, like the Saturn rings around it. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
No, that looks, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It also looks like a murder weapon if we're going to hit somebody over the head with it. So there is that.
I mean, come on. I think, can you do a little better job with that?
Whoever designed this thing needs to be fired.
That looks obscene.
Yeah, so she's the first Native American to win Best Actress. But the Golden Globes totally messed up. So they posted this. Now, Ali Wong and Steven Yeun won for Beef. And they post, they're like, they become the first Asian American actors to win Golden Globes for any limited series, except they weren't. In 2019, Darren Criss was the actual first Asian American. He's Filipino. He won Best Actor in a limited series for the assassination of Gianni Versace. I never watched it. But yeah, they kind of gave themselves props for something that wasn't props. I mean, congratulations to Ali Wong and Steven Yeun, but they weren't the first, apparently. And everyone's like, you're trying to erase Darren Criss's accomplishments. Barbie, you know what Barbie won, Kim? Barbie won there was a new category, and it was called Cinematic and Box Office Achievement category. To qualify, a feature needed to top $150 million at the global box office with at least $100 million coming domestically.
Mm.
Barbie won, which I thought, the whole Barbie Oppenheimer thing was, and Oppenheimer won so many awards at the Golden Globes. But you know what was also up for it was the Eras Tour. And I was like, really? I thought hands down it was going to be the Eras Tour, because remember, the Eras Tour got so much money, and it was only on Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays, I believe, right? Like they only were a few days. It wasn't even, you couldn't watch the movie every day of the week, like Barbie or Oppenheimer. You could only watch it a couple of days. And so I was shocked that the Eras Tour didn't win. I'm glad Barbie did, though. I liked it. Billie Eilish won for her song. What Was I Made For? Which I love that song. That is such a sad song. It makes me all sad every time I sing it. But yeah, there's Margot Robbie. She thanked everybody for really liking the movie. I thought it was good. Yeah, there's Taylor Swift in that green dress.
Who would have thought if someone said, "Oh yeah, my dress is lime green sequins," that you would have thought, "Oh,
that works."
That worked. Yeah.
Yeah, but she can, I mean, it is a really pretty dress. I was going to say it's because she has pale skin, but I could see that on, a darker skin looking gorge. Yeah. It's a very nice
have the right figure for that dress to pull it off. Yeah.
Exactly.
It doesn't hurt that she's like 6 feet tall almost, right?
Exactly. It doesn't hurt that it's Taylor freaking Swift and everything looks good on her. So yeah. So I mean, the award season has officially kicked off. I start getting all of my digital screeners, in about 10 days. So there's so many things that were up for Golden Globes I've never watched. And what was interesting, another interesting point that somebody was making is so many of these shows, especially the Golden Globes, because it's TV and movie, people haven't watched because they don't have all the streaming services, right? So, that went great on Max or Prime or Netflix or whatever, but not everybody has those. So it's this kind of weird moment where even if you watch the award shows to see what you should be watching, you might not be able to, because unless you subscribe to all those streaming services, you can't watch it. But yeah, I thought it was nice. Oppenheimer, I still haven't seen. Have you seen Oppenheimer?
No.
Yeah, it's so long. It's such a commitment. And even though I binge watched, and we'll talk about it in a little bit, that You Are What You Eat thing, which was probably like 4 hours. I just can't sit there and watch Oppenheimer, which is almost 4 hours. So I don't know.
I'm choosing a movie, it's like such serious topic,
Right.
such a serious subject matter. It's like, do I want to bring myself down?
Yeah, but I mean, I'm really interested to watch it. You know what I did just watch, and then Paul Giamatti won, was The Holdovers. Remember? Tim Segal loved that movie. It's about Paul Giamatti, who's a teacher who's forced to stay during the Christmas break with students who don't go home for the holidays. And they're called The Holdovers. It was a really cute movie. James liked it, and he was bitching and moaning about it. My husband was bitching and moaning about watching. He was like, "Oh, what are we watching? What are we watching?" What's interesting about The Holdovers, and I won't give any of it really away besides the plot, it has like this sepia tone, however you pronounce it, over it. So it's like, it looks like a movie that was made in the 70s, where, at the beginning of the movie, they go through the entire cast, all the names and everything. And it has kind of this like overlay or this filter over it that really brings you back to that time. So I thought that was kind of cool cinematically. But I thought the movie was very entertaining, and Paul Giamatti did a really great job. His eyes don't look like that, which I needed confirmation. There's something going wonky with his eyes in the movie. His eyes don't look like that in real life. I looked at James and was like, does his eyes always do that, or did they do that for the movie? It's like, I think they just did it for the movie. But you'll know what I'm talking about if you watch it. So yeah, a lot of good recommendations. I'll have more as I get more screeners, because I can't watch everything. I don't have the subscriptions to everything. So, but yeah.
Matter of fact, I was reading a story last night that as subscription services, the cost of them are going up.
Yes.
People are canceling.
Yes. It's
That's
too
what
expensive.
happens. So they want you to pay $2, $3 more a month for Netflix. They want you to pay $3 more a month so you have no ads on Amazon Prime.
It's ridiculous.
They want you to pay more for this and more for that. And so people are whittling down.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I am. Mm-hmm. I can't afford everything. I can't. It's too much. So, and we can't share anymore. Tell us to share all our lives, and now we can't share that. Fine, whatever. But yeah, so if you have any recommendations, put them in the chat. I'll watch it if I can afford to. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about that gaping hole on the airline. I want to play you a little bit of this. This was last night. They had the update because they finally found, and I love that they call it a door plug. It's a part of the freaking, I mean, it's not the door. It's a door plug. It's kind of like, you know, when you get a stock car and there's a spot for the clock to put in or whatever, but they have that piece of plastic there. That's what I imagine it kind of was. But here's the very latest.
Would have been more understandable if it was a door that was meant to open. But
Yeah,
it
but this
wasn't
was
meant
not.
to open. It was
This was
supposed to
not.
be securely in place.
And the plane's only like 3 or 4 months old. It's only been in service for 3 or 4 months. So here we go.
The discovery of that door
plug
plug from the Alaska Airlines jet is a major break for investigators. They say it's the evidence they need to figure out exactly what happened.
It blew off. Done. Look at that.
Tonight, a major step forward in the investigation of what happened aboard an Alaska Airlines jet. A school teacher in Portland, Oregon, finding the missing door plug from the Boeing 737 MAX 9 in his backyard.
He found it in his backyard. Thank you, Bob. Please, I will reach out to you so that so that I can thank you myself.
NTSB investigators say the discovery of the door plug will help them determine what went wrong, causing a gaping hole to open up on the Alaska Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 9 jet after Flight 1282 took off from Portland Friday. The aircraft depressurizing 16,000 feet in the air, terrifying more than 100 passengers aboard the plane bound for Ontario, California.
Went to go for a walk today and found a phone belonging to an Alaska Airlines passenger sitting on the ground.
This citizen alerting authorities and posting a message on social media after finding a cell phone that fell from the jet on the side of a road.
I found it. It was still pretty clean, no scratches on it, sitting under a bush.
The FAA has grounded all 171 Boeing MAX 9 jets worldwide for immediate inspections. The NTSB is going over the door plug frame on the Alaska Airlines jet, gathering evidence.
I think the FAA knows what they're doing, but I think that it's still worrisome for any flyers, regardless of if it's a Boeing 737 or a Boeing jet. I think the brand itself, Boeing, is just worrisome to fly on in general.
Travelers arriving for flights at Hollywood Burbank Airport reacting to the shocking incident.
We put our lives in their hands when we fly across the country, so it's always a good step to be safe.
Yeah. So, I mean, and yes, sorry, I don't know why I said 400 feet. That would be ridiculous. 16,000 feet the plane was in the air. And so this is the question. One, how does this make you feel? I mean, are we just chalking this up to weird things can sometimes happen on airplanes? Or are you going to be looking to see the next flight that you're on, what kind of plane it is? Now, Boeing has had a number of problems in recent years. So they don't know if Boeing is to blame for what happened to that plane, although finding the door plug should answer a lot of the questions. Another version of the MAX, the 737 MAX 8, was involved in 2 crashes. Those crashes killed hundreds of people in 2018 and 2019. The planes were grounded then. Last month, Boeing urged airlines to inspect more than 1,300 delivered MAX planes for a possible loose bolt in the rudder control system. Over the summer, Boeing said a key supplier had improperly drilled holes in a component that helps to maintain cabin pressure, which you need. Since then, Boeing has invested in and worked more closely with that supplier by the name of Spirit Aerosystems to address production problems. You can't really get away, though, from Boeing. It's not as if, you could just, ride another plane if you need to fly somewhere. I just don't know. Between Boeing, its safety problems, and our shortage of air traffic controllers, flying seems to be quite dangerous, if you ask me. Ricky, apparently you don't fly very much. Ricky says, my ass is never more than 30 feet off the ground when traveling. Then Ron says, on my last flight, people were walking with the fasten seatbelt sign on. I bet they don't do that for a while. I don't know. The last flight I was on, they're literally telling people we're about to take off and this woman runs and goes to the bathroom. People are so in their own freaking bubble all the time. Let's see. Square says in South San Francisco as a kid, a boom was heard that I get Then a jet, I think he's saying, flying over with part of the wing missing, was found in the backyard on Eucalyptus Avenue in Grand. I'm just happy that that door plug didn't land on somebody. I mean, that could happen. You're going to have some Donnie Darko scenes happen. You ever see that movie, Kim? Donnie Darko? You've never seen Donnie Darko?
No, what's that?
It's a very good movie with Jake Gyllenhaal. Patrick Swayze's in it.
That's an old one, huh?
Oh, it's a cult classic. Donnie Darko. You should put that on your watch list. But spoiler, not spoiler, because it's been around forever. It has to do with things falling off, literally falling off planes.
Like the blue ice?
No, way bigger than blue ice. But yes. But things fall. I understand blue ice, things like that can fall off planes. But if it lands on you, you're dead. So maybe we don't want all of these things.
So here's what I can tell you about this plane with the missing door plug. Apparently, it had issues with the warning light. It had gone off multiple times in the past. This particular plane was not cleared to fly over the ocean. It could not be used to fly to Hawaii.
What?
So
all of them, all of these types of planes cannot fly over the ocean.
This specific Boeing jetliner that suffered an in-flight blowout, this specific plane that had the blowout, right, with the door plug, it was not being used for flights to Hawaii after a warning light that could have indicated a pressurization problem lit up on 3 different flights. 3 times the warning light comes on this plane about pressurization issues. 3 times. They're like, oh, maybe we shouldn't use this one over the open sea.
You think?
Yeah. So Alaska Airlines decides to restrict this aircraft from long flights over water so the plane could return very quickly to an airport if there were such an issue. If the warning light reappeared. This is what the NTSB said on Sunday. Yeah.
I'm gonna say
if it comes on 3 times and there's a warning that says pressurization problems, then maybe and it was a new plane. It had only been used a few times. A few times with 3 of them, the warning light came on. You think maybe they should return it to the factory and go, something's wrong with this one?
Oh yeah. I mean, and how much of that should be disclosed to the passengers? I mean, I would want to know if I'm on a plane that can't fly over the friggin' ocean. I don't know about you, but if you can't fly over the ocean, you can't fly over the land. Like if it's not safe enough to fly over water, you're not safe enough to fly over land. I want a plane that can fly anywhere.
December 7th, January 3rd, and January 4th, the very day before that door plug broke off. Those are when the warning lights came on the 3 different flights. So the day before, it was having issues.
Oh my gosh.
You.
Yeah.
That's seems to be incompetence in my book.
Lori says I used to live with a United mechanic. My best friend's dad was a American mechanic. Great guy. I mean, I don't know anything about the job, but I can only imagine human error, right? Something like that. That's crazy.
I mean, seriously. 3 times the warning. The plane itself is telling you, something's not right.
Maud says my uncle survived Tenerife in 1977. Do you know what that is?
No, I'll look it up though.
Maud, what is? Let us know what that is. A lot of people are warning you, Kim, about Donnie Darko. I guess I should have said this. Not an uplifting movie. I thought that was covered under the whole plane landing on things part. But yeah,
Tenerife. This according to Wikipedia. So they say don't believe everything you read, but it says here the Tenerife airport disaster occurred March 27th of 1977 when 2 Boeing 747 passenger jets collided on the runway at Los Rodeos Airport, now Tenerife North Airport on the Spanish island of Tenerife. The collision occurred when a KLM flight initiated its takeoff run during dense fog while a Pan Am flight was still on the runway. The impact and resulting fire killed everyone on board the KLM and most of the occupants aboard the Pan Am, with only 61 survivors in the front section of the aircraft, resulting in the worst aviation disaster in Spain. 583 fatalities. The disaster is also the deadliest accident in aviation history.
Wow. And Maud, your uncle survived that? That is crazy. That is a crazy story. Wow, thank God.
Awful.
She says he pushed my aunt out from the burning wing. Oh my God.
Oh.
That is crazy. That's a crazy story. Can you imagine? I mean, and my heart goes out to your uncle and aunt if they're still alive or whatever, Maude. But I mean, surviving something where so many other people lost their lives. Just because we're talking about plane disasters, I watched that movie that Tim was telling us about, Society of the Snow, about the rugby player plane crash.
Yeah.
Oh, he is so right. It was very well done. Very well. I was bawling at the end. Okay, everyone knows how it ends, right? Everyone knows how it ends.
Yeah.
Because it's based on a true story. When they are finally found, oh my God, I was bawling. I was bawling. But the Tim Segal warning about the actual crash,
Yeah.
when the fuselage lands in the snow and what happened inside the plane. Whoo.
What did he say? That I
It was
remember he said it's a movie
he's
you'll
all-
only watch once.
Yeah,
That's all I can
at
take.
least that scene.
Yeah.
At least that scene. Everything
Yeah.
else is pretty well done. I mean, this was well done too. But how the seats kind of move when they're crashing and break off and smash, and it was a very well done movie. Do I think I'll ever watch that movie again? Probably not, unless someone is like, I've never seen it before. Would you want to watch it? And I probably would watch it again, only because somebody else wanted to. I would never go out of my way to watch it. But it was very well done. But again, it's one of those things where when you're flying, how many people, and this is the thing that blew me also away about the Society of the Snow movie, what people pack in their luggage. Like some people actually packed a ton of food. Do you ever think about packing food? If you're going somewhere warm, do you ever think about packing a warm jacket? Why would I pack a warm jacket if I'm going to Hawaii, let's just say, unless you crash in the friggin' snow-covered mountains.
We're always flying in and out of SFO or somewhere in the Bay Area. So you start with layers, right? You start with a sweatshirt, you start with a sweater, something, and then you peel off to cooler layers. So you at least have something, but maybe not a jacket made for snow.
Yeah. Vicky's like, this coming summer, I'm flying to Europe. This conversation is not helping. Sorry, Vicky.
It's still, though, very rare, right?
It is very safe to
safer in the
fly.
sky than it
is.
is in the car. As long as you double check that the warning lights haven't come on, I think you're good to go.
Yeah, exactly. As of Tesla, roll back to Randy's post. Seems like they ignored the warning lamp. How do you, and Heather, I think, came in with the funny one, just take a Sharpie and cover over the warning light. Solved. It's not there anymore. Yeah, you can't do that. You can't, you got to pay. There's a reason why we create warning lights. It's to warn us about things that are wrong.
They're lucky that no one got sucked out. Honestly.
I mean,
they're really lucky.
And again, every time people are like, there was nobody sitting there, it's like, not anymore.
Have you heard of the cockpit, like the tower, the airport tower?
Yes, yes.
Like, requesting go to 10,000 feet. We've had a breach of that, whatever,
emergency. We're having a slight emergency.
To the point where, people won't get sucked out and the pressurization isn't an issue. We need to get back down to where there's oxygen.
Yeah, exactly. John says,
Permission granted.
Not making me look forward to the flight in 2 days. John, question. Are you trying to find out what kind of, I mean, obviously it's not going to be a Boeing because they've grounded these, but what are you supposed to even do with that information if you had it? Okay, so I don't want to be on the Boeing 737 MAX, whatever. Okay, but what about this one that I'm flying on? When's the last time it's been inspected? Does it ignore the warning lights? There is a lot of trust that goes on every single time that we honestly get into any sort of technology that moves us into unsafe locations. Elevators. How many of you really think when you go on high-rise buildings, the safety, when's the last time this elevator was inspected? I doubt rarely many people, right?
Don't you read the note? It's always posted for you right there in the elevator.
Yeah, I don't care. What's that note telling me, right? I mean, yeah, it's been inspected. Yay. But something could go wrong, right? This plane was supposed to be inspected.
Are you ever in a packed elevator that's like, I don't know, it's got 10 people in it, and you look at the thing on the door and it says, this elevator is rated for a weight of
X, and you look around, you're doing math.
You look around, you're like, how much? I wonder how much, like trying to add it all up.
Oh yeah, I can't do much in an elevator, especially in front of my daughter. My daughter hates elevators, and Dylan, my son, teases her about it all the time. And she doesn't want anybody like moving or jumping on the elevator. So
Oh,
of
my
course my
kids
son
always
does
jump.
that.
Yeah.
And yeah, she hates it. She hates elevators, which is rational. It honestly is very rational to be afraid of flying, to be
Yeah.
afraid of it is a
It's true.
rational thing to be afraid of that. You're like, I'm not
Although
the crazy one. You guys are really trusting right
it
now.
totally holds you back, though. I remember my grandfather was petrified of flying, and so he didn't take all these trips that he could have. My grandmother and grandfather
Right.
went on cruises because he wouldn't fly anywhere. So they would have
Yeah.
to start in San Francisco and, wherever they could catch along the way boats to take them. But he wanted to take the family to Germany, which is where his family was from. And he never did because he was afraid. So it holds you back in life, that
It
fear.
does. And again, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. And I'm not trying to be flippant about it because I know people have obviously died in airline crashes or
Mhm.
whatever. But to judge people for being afraid of it, I think is unfair because honestly,
Yeah.
you're thousands of feet into the air, and hoping
Yeah.
nothing goes wrong and turbulence happens and things like that. And Blue Spark makes an excellent point. Elevators have a simple but very effective mechanism that prevents them from falling. It was invented like 120 years ago. Yes, but if you think about it, right? It's like, can anything go wrong? Yes, obviously some things can go wrong. And the history of elevators, for some reason, I just remember learning about it. The lever that they used that was but the brake back in the old elevators, that actually wouldn't really do much, but it gave people a false sense of security that there was some sort of control that they could have over the elevator. Because after a certain point, the brakes are not going to work very well on those old time elevators. But it
Mhm.
convinced people that if you had a brake that they could see and possibly use, they would then trust this box to take
Yeah.
them all the way up to the top of a skyscraper and not die. So it's these, warning systems and safety mechanisms that give people a sense of security. And when those fail and pocket doors fall off, you start to question, maybe I should be a little more discerning of where I place my body and how high up into the sky we go.
What about those people that have this weird premonition before they get
Mhm.
on a flight? Like, I'm not getting on this flight, and then something bad ends up happening on that flight.
Yeah, exactly. I'm
Mhm.
a Final Destination, baby. That was number one. Final Destination one. That's exact. You never seen any of
Mm.
the Final Destinations. You're not my movie watcher. Um, but Final Destination one was about that exact thing. A guy had a
Yeah.
premonition and he got everyone off the plane. And obviously mayhem ensued
Yeah.
afterwards. But yeah, it's definitely I don't knock it. And when things like this happen, it really I think brings close to home those that have those fears as being rational human beings. So there you go. All right, let's change gears for just a bit. I want to talk about a new California law. And this has to do so yesterday was dating Sunday. Apparently, uh, in recent years, because obviously dating apps are relatively new, the Sunday after New Year's is the busiest day on dating apps. January 7th, yesterday, a whopping 519 Tinder bios are expected to be edited, with more than 2,200 photos added every minute. On Dating Sunday, the number of messages sent on Tinder increases by about 22%. Users respond about 20 minutes faster than on any other Sunday of the year.
People
And the
are hot and
number
heavy.
yeah, and the number of likes on the app increases by more than 18%.
Mm.
As people update their profiles, about 59 million more likes, 11 million more messages will be sent compared to last year. And the fun won't stop. By Monday, Tinder shared that the app typically sees an uptick in activity from the first Sunday of the year until Valentine's Day. How many dating app people do I have watching the show right now? And what is your favorite dating app? Do you pay for it? Do you do the free one? Tinder, Grinder, Plenty of Fish, Bumble, I don't Match.com. Any of them?
Do you think it's
Anyone?
because people are thinking, "I wanna make a change in the new year. I
I
want
wanna
to
make a change
find
for me.
I wanna find love. I wanna, have a better life in 2024."
I mean, I think that maybe people got dumped during the holidays. Maybe
Mhm.
they're on a new leaf. They're like, I'm going to focus on my love life. But here's my thing. And I mentioned this at the beginning of the show. I know people that use dating apps. They're single. They're going out there. Sometimes they just want a one night snuggle buddy. Sometimes they're looking for that next long-term relationship, right?
Snuggle buddy.
But so I will say 90% of the people that I talk to that use dating apps have said, I'm done with them. I'm done with them. I don't like it. One, they blame the people that use them, like the other people that use them. But mostly they're like, I don't feel like I'm making true connections like I would in real life. And so they're committed to going out and meeting people in real life, like the grocery store, or I don't know if you go to the library, or through work, or through friends. I've never been put on a blind date like through a friend or anything like that. Sorry. I again met my husband when I was way young, so that never happened. Have you ever been kind of match made by someone that knew you, or do you know anybody that did that? I feel like that would be the way I would want to do it if I was going to do it in 2024. You know me, you know that person, you think we'd connect, let's do it that way.
No, never happened to me.
Right. It's a totally different world than when we were dating, Kim. And I don't know if I'd want to be, I don't know if I'd want to do it. I don't know if I would want to date in 2024. It seems like it would be really hard.
My parents met on a blind date.
Real? I think you told us that. That's right.
Yeah.
And it worked out for them, right? Well, for a while at least.
No, it didn't work out. I mean, 2 kids and 13 years of marriage. Yes,
there you go.
And no.
Right. Mama 3 Boys says, I met my husband at my parents' house. Ooh, tell us the story, Mama. Calvin says, go meet someone at the gym and then be shunned for sexual harassment. Excellent point, Calvin. Because that's the other problem, is if you go to the places where you might have similar interests, a la the gym. I'm into my health and working out. You're into your health and working out. And now all of a sudden, if I go up to you, the chick, I'm just going to say it's heterosexual kind of, oh my God, I'm just here to work out. I don't want to be hit on. Right. Well, okay. But this is a place in which I could maybe meet somebody with similar interests. I think, and I don't know if there's any gyms that do this, they should have a singles night. Like, you know what? After hours, you want to come to the gym? We're having,
No, bad idea. Here's
why.
Because there's always the couple of guys that you're trying to avoid at the gym that are leering, that are creepy, that you want nothing to do with. And maybe there's a cute one, but maybe you've told the other one, sorry, not interested, sorry, taken, sorry,
right,
I'm seeing someone, whatever. So then you have to go to singles night and there you're confronted with all the creepers in the whole gym. No.
That's a good point, but I kind of feel like if it's a little organized, it's not a free for all, that maybe like, kind of like a dance card. So people have to sign in. If you match each other, then you can kind of, I don't know, but I feel like face to face is way better. And this is someone that has no point of reference because I've never used dating apps, but I just feel like meeting someone in real life, face to face, in an environment in which you feel comfortable. Maybe it's not the gym. Maybe it's the grocery store. Maybe it's at school. Maybe it's at night school. I don't know. Something like that would be way better than the Cheesecake Factory menu-sized dating apps that you have to go through. Because it makes it way too hard.
Yeah.
It makes it way too hard to meet someone and feel like you're really connecting. Now, one of the popular places to obviously meet people are bars, right? Like, I'm just going to go to a bar and I'm going to meet somebody and do it that way. Well, that can be dangerous. As we all know, people can get roofied. But now in California, it is a law that bars have to offer, and I don't know how sexy this is going to be, they have to offer roofie tests. Here's a little bit of a report. Let me share it with you from ABC7 on these roofie tests. And you tell me, how do you protect yourself? How do you keep yourself safe when you're out with your friends at the bar?
In just a matter of months, most bars and nightclubs across the state will be required to have drug testing kits available to help customers know if their drink has been spiked.
I think it's super important, especially as a woman being out at night, consuming alcohol. You don't want to be at the wrong place with the wrong people.
I think it's a good idea. Make people feel more safe.
The kits typically include a strip, sticker, or straw that can detect common roofie or date rape drugs like ketamine or GHB.
I worked here for a long time, and I've seen people sort of touch other people's drinks, and I immediately just get rid of the drink because I think you have to be careful.
The longtime San Francisco bartender says she does what she can to help keep customers safe, and she thinks making testing available makes sense.
There are situations, there are times when someone will get up to go to the bathroom, and I keep an eye on things.
I know men probably experience it too, but it's something that a lot of women are very cautious about when they go out.
I'm just going to stop it right there. I know women.
She says, thank you, Nikki, for stopping it right there.
I know young women, my friends' daughters and their friends who don't even bat an eye. I'm not exaggerating, Kim. And this scares me half to death. They're like, oh yeah, I've been roofied. There's been many nights I've gone home and I don't know how I got there. I know something was put in my drink. Like, it's so widely accepted that someone's going to mess around with your drink or that someone's going to slip something in your drink. It's horrifying.
No.
Horrifying. Now, I mean, okay, I'm going to finish this and then do you think roofie tests though are going to help? So let's finish this report.
I know it happens all the time. I worked at a bar and someone got roofied there one time, so I've seen it myself.
We have a crisis that's taking place that's resulting in sexual assault.
Yep.
That's targeting primarily women and members of the LGBTQ communities.
Assemblymember Josh Lowenthal introduced AB 1013 early last year. In the fall, it became law.
By way of example, I have members of my staff that have been roofied. There are members of the legislative body that have been roofied.
Lily Horton says it almost happened to her.
They told me they wanted me to leave with them. So they got a drink and they passed it behind their back. My friend caught that and then defended me.
Bar owners are required to have tests available starting in July, and it's up to them whether they charge customers. Tara Campbell, ABC 7 News.
Now, again, here's my question, the logistics of this all. Okay. So I'm at a bar. When do I take the roofie test? When do I ask for the roofie test? Even whether I have to pay for it or not. I mean, have I been roofied first? That's the thing that I don't understand. Somebody was mentioning, hold on. Yeah, Ms. Organic. I was watching a show that a girl had something reactive in her nail polish to test for drugs in a club. Not sure that's a real product. I don't know about that, but there used to be, because I was thinking about this. And I think they started a Kickstarter, and then I tried to research it yesterday, and the website wasn't a website anymore, so I don't know what happened with it. But it was a smart straw. And so you would put it in your drink and use it, and then I guess it would change colors or do something if GHB, ketamine, whatever was put in your drink. That's smart. It's like, no.
What is it coming? What's the world coming to, though, if you have to, for a night out, go packing with a roofie straw in your purse?
Well, I think the thought was that the bars would just use them for all the drinks.
No, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there it is. Or, but yeah, that's a great point, though, Kim. Like, why do we live in it's sad that we live in a society where we have to have roofie tests at bars. We have to have Narcan in high schools, right? It's just drugs are everywhere. And the Narcan I agree with because obviously we have a fentanyl problem and they're putting it in. But I can't imagine going out for a night on the town, having one drink and I'm blitzed out of my mind. That's why I raised this question. It's like, well, when do I take this roofie test? I feel like it needs to be more integrated into the night so that my drink is just being tested before I ingest it. Now, John, go ahead. I was just going to say, John has the best thing. Don't let your drink out of your sight. Right. It can happen like that, though. Like you just turn to talk to your friend real quick and they just sprinkle whatever the hell in your drink.
Have you talked to your daughter about this?
Well, I mean, I've mentioned, don't take anything and ingest anything. She's not drinking, obviously.
Right.
So I haven't had that conversation with her, but I will. If she wants to start going to high school parties, I'll be like, yo, I know what happens at those high school parties.
During the pandemic, Julia was in 6th grade. That was one of the years where we didn't go to school.
Right.
And so a bunch of moms and I, and that's the year they got sex ed in school. So we put together this thing with a friend that does sex ed at Kaiser. And she came out and we had all the girls in a backyard and we did this sex ed our own like sex ed class, right?
Right.
And the moms were kind of on one side of the yard and all the girls were on the other. We were there, we were like answering questions for things and stuff. And one of the moms said this had happened to her
Oh,
and
wow.
talked to the girls about how, about how to avoid getting attacked. One of the moms had been sexually assaulted in a very famous case in the North Bay, and talked about that, and then talked about safety. So it was one of these moments where girls hadn't thought of this before. And I think at
Yeah.
14, when you're just fresh into high school and you're just kind of like learning about yourself and whether
Yeah.
you're attractive to the opposite sex, these are not things you think about. And I think we have to warn our daughters, because it could happen to girls that aren't even drinking alcohol. They could stick anything, and it doesn't have to
Anything
be
in your
at a
soda.
bar.
Exactly. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be alcohol, although I think you would notice it a lot more quickly, because obviously if you start feeling a little lightheaded, you're like, oh, it's my cocktail. But we also have to talk to the boys. We have to talk to everybody,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
obviously the boys, it needs to be said so clearly. And I will say this, President Biden said it years ago. I think he was talking to at a college somewhere. I don't know where it was, but he basically is like, if a woman is passed out and you're having sex with her, you're raping her. If you are putting drugs in a woman's drink in order for her to like you, you're assaulting her, right? Like, that is not okay. And they might be getting a different message from, chat rooms and online games or whatever. Like, oh yeah, just put that in your drink and she'll give it up or whatever. Because there has to be this mentality that is shared amongst young men through whatever means, where it's not looked down upon to drug women who are just out on the town for a good time. It's scary. It's scary. It's scary. It's scary. So yeah, I mean, you just have to constantly have these conversations with boys and girls. But yeah, if my daughter was going out drinking, going out with her girlfriends, it's a common thing. Watch your drink.
Yep.
Bring it with you. Don't let anybody touch your drink. Don't let anybody buy you a drink unless you see the bartender pour that drink and they hand it directly to you.
That's
like,
right.
oh, I got you this drink. No, you didn't. You got that for yourself. You better drink it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want that. Or accent, and it sucks that you have to do stuff like this. But act like you accidentally spilled it. Oh, you know what I mean? If you feel like you have to take something, which again is so upsetting that women don't want to hurt men's feelings, so they put themselves in danger, right? Oh, I don't want to be rude, so I took the drink. Screw that. He didn't ask you. He didn't ask you. He did it on his own. I didn't ask for that drink, but they want to, placate the situation and be nice, and maybe he is cute. Yeah, no. You do not have to say yes. No is a complete sentence. All those sorts of things. Oh, Heather says it's insidious, especially if you haven't experienced it before. It legit takes away your ability to make decisions or form reasoned thoughts. Hey, I'm too loopy. I should find my pals is nearly impossible. Exactly, Heather. Like, how do these roofie tests work if it's not seamlessly incorporated into the drink and into this whole situation, right? Like, if it was the cup, they make these smart cups and, that are supposed to, give you electrolytes and stuff. We need to work on a technology like that, right? Maybe it's a napkin. Maybe I like the straw idea. Although somebody was saying drink bottled beer, they could put something in bottled beer. You turn around, oh, here's a lime. It's all on the lime. There's ways these predators try to get to you. So they get creative.
So what's the new law supposed to do? Require bars to either sell you or give you a test kit?
They have to have them available. They have to have these roofie tests available. Now, I will say, let's say, and this is kind of to answer Heather's question, let's say my girlfriend seems completely out of it for how much she's been drinking. So I suspect that she has been roofied. Taking the roofie test out of the drink, and then, maybe checking the cameras immediately, you may be able to find the perpetrator perhaps. Right? You could see it happening, because sometimes by the time, I don't even know if all bars have cameras. I would assume many do. But maybe it could help solve the crime, but it doesn't help the girl in the situation. It doesn't stop the girl from ingesting something that can seriously do damage, and if you're on your own, if you're just starting to feel like I don't feel good, I'm just going to go catch a cab, that could be putting yourself into danger. You don't know what car you're getting into. It's awful. And and Heather says you don't even realize anything's wrong, or if you do, it's just an inkling and you have no ability to do anything about it. Yeah, that is frightening. That is
If the only
frightening.
way you can get someone to go home with you is by
Exactly.
drugging them,
You're a
you're a
loser. Friggin' loser.
Mhm.
Exactly. And yeah, it doesn't have to be booze, Lori. Younger teens and tweens get it from older brothers. Don't assume safe just because it's not booze. Some kids will do it just because they can. Yeah, it's that's why you just have to keep the conversation going. All right, let's do a few more headlines with Kim, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about food, drink. On Friday, we were talking about the price of a Big Mac going up because they're raising minimum wage. And my question that I'm going to continue today is that such a bad thing? So PepsiCo is having a lot of its products pulled. And I don't know if I'm saying this grocery store chain's name right. Carrefour, it's in Europe. They're pulling it because the prices are too high. They're like, screw it. Pepsi, you're charging way too much. You're raising the prices and it's shrinkflation. You're charging more and people are getting less. So we're just not selling your stuff. And then the sugary drink tax on like sodas and stuff, it has led to a decline in people buying those drinks. So is this actually a bad thing? And then I'll touch on it. And if anybody has seen that new Netflix show, You Are What You Eat, let me know what you thought about that, because I'll give you my thoughts as well, because it's based in the Bay Area out of Stanford. It's a Stanford study of twins eating different diets. But boy, did it make me really rethink what I choose to put in my mouth, even if I think it's healthy. All right, let's do some more headlines, though, first with Kim.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
As we mentioned earlier, more than 40 states are under wind, snow, blizzard, or flood alerts as winter storms move in across the country. 9 states in the plains and in the west are under blizzard warnings today. This comes as there's a possibility of flash flooding and tornadoes from Texas all the way to Florida. Protesters are calling on President Biden to push for a ceasefire in Gaza. Demonstrators interrupted the president's speech today in South Carolina at a church where 9 black worshipers were gunned down by a white supremacist in 2015. Protesters shouted "ceasefire now" at the president before they were escorted out.
This I support. Now, and I don't want to really, people are allowed to protest. People are allowed to call on their lawmakers to support certain things, whether it's a ceasefire or whatever. But if we're going to direct the call for a ceasefire to someone, let's do it to President Biden. You know what I mean? Like, let's do it to people that can actually call for the ceasefire or pressure, Israel or whatever to do that. Other things, stopping city council meetings or something like that. While I understand the use of pressure and how it can move up to people in higher political positions, it's, in my opinion, I'm just going to use the San Jose City Council. I don't even know if it's happened at the San Jose City Council. Calling for them to have a resolution, calling for a ceasefire is not going to lead to the ceasefire. Does that make sense? Yep. So let's direct all of our energy and our passion and whatever to the person that can actually possibly do something about it. And that would be President Biden.
House Republicans are moving forward with impeachment proceedings against Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. A House panel is expected to hold its first impeachment hearing against Mayorkas on Wednesday. Republicans have slammed the secretary's handling of the southern border as the number of migrants crossing hits record levels.
Yeah.
Mayorkas on the hot seat for that.
I feel it's funny. We were talking earlier about Oakland Mayor Shangtao being recalled and how Californians love a recall. We also love impeachments, apparently. Like we don't want people to be able to hold their position for the set amount of time. I will say Mayorkas coming out and saying the border is secure rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Like it's not. Let's stop. When you see 15,000 people, and I'm just throwing a number out there, 15,000 people a day crossing the border. Obviously compared to the size of the United States, that's not a lot of people. Compared to some of these small border towns, that is insane. And we need to do something about it. It is unfair. No matter how we feel about asylum, about what migrants contribute to this society, we all should understand that that is not sustainable, that the system that we have in place is not working. But I think to also be fair, the Republicans don't actually want to solve the problem.
No,
they don't. They don't want to work with Democrats. They like to use this as kind of that pressure point, political maneuvering to criticize Democrats. Okay, so let's just let's just be honest about what we're talking about here.
Absolutely. Colorado police are investigating an incident that involves Congresswoman Lauren Boebert and her ex-husband, Jason. According to the Denver Post, the pair was at a restaurant Saturday night when the Silt Police Department was called out. The department's police chief declined to describe the incident, but said no one was taken into custody there. Colorado Republican Boebert said in a statement to CNN, "It's a sad situation for all that keeps escalating and another reason I'm moving." She said, "I didn't punch Jason in the face and no one was arrested." She is
Thank
now
you for
consulting with a
clarifying.
lawyer.
You didn't punch your
Like,
husband in the face.
The
Thank
police
you.
weren't going to say anything, Lauren, but you decided to say something. So
She is such trash. Like, I just don't know how she got elected. I really don't, and she got reelected by the skin of her teeth, I feel like.
Just barely.
So
Mhm.
barely, I guess she barely won. So, you get what you vote for, people. This is, if she speaks for you because you live like her, fine, I guess. But yeah, between the hand job she was given with her date like last year to punching her husband in the face, we got a winner. We got a winner in Boebert. Yeah, sure.
Pope Francis is calling for a global ban on surrogacy. In prepared remarks today, the leader of the Catholic Church described the practice of surrogate motherhood as deplorable. He said a child should not be turned into an object of trafficking, and that he considers the practice a grave violation of the dignity of the woman and the child. Francis added that children should not be the basis of commercial contract. In 2022, Francis said surrogacy exploits women, especially poor women, and that children are treated as commodities.
Oh my God. Not to, no pun intended. What a statement. I feel like that is heartless, in all honesty, to understand. I mean, this is my question to you, Pope Francis. How many people did you talk to that have needed a surrogate before you made this proclamation to the entire Catholic community? Like, I just feel like that is so mean.
I knew a woman who had 2 kids of her own and whose aunt was having horrible trouble, had tried for more than a decade to have a baby and couldn't. And so not only did she become the surrogate to her aunt, but also used her own eggs in doing so. So it was biologically her child, and she carried the child and then gave birth to the child and gave it to her aunt. When you
Wow.
talk about the most selfless thing I've ever seen anyone do in my life,
Exactly.
how giving, what an amazing gift that she gave someone. I understand that God only wants you to have a baby if you're with your husband and the family unit and whatever else, and this is how the religion sees it, and anything else is not right. Any fertility help is not okay.
Yeah, I know.
Because
And
God
there's a lot of
didn't have a
Catholics
hand
that
in
think
it.
that way. Yeah, exactly.
I don't. It seems like if you're pro-life, that you would be pro all life.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I just feel like there are people that really want a child and they can't, for whatever reason, get pregnant on their own. I know a woman who it was always her dream to be a surrogate. And so she was. I mean, and I don't know the relationship between her and the family that ended up having the child. It was not, she didn't donate her own eggs, I don't think. I think she literally just carried the child. And it was interesting because she was very much a surrogate. Like, I remember she had posted pictures when she had gone into labor, and her husband, who I know at the time, not into the whole like delivery type of thing. Like, he was just there for her, but not, because you have to keep some sort of separation emotionally, or I can imagine it could be really hard, right? To give up a child like that. But I know, because she said it so many times, she wanted to give this gift to this family. She had the ability to do something that somebody else could not. And so why not help somebody reach this dream of becoming a loving parent to a child? And so for the Pope to say that, and what I would say is, I mean, I'm surprised. And 2, it seems like such an uneducated position of why people become surrogates. Now, is he talking specifically about women who are kind of trafficked or forced, and I'm just going to say this, assaulted in order to get pregnant, to strip that woman of said child to give to rich people. Like, I can just imagine this horrific situation. Yeah, I think it's universally we're against that. But to be against surrogacy and using that word, not human trafficking, nothing like that, right? To use the term surrogacy, I think is so hurtful to what I believe is a large portion of the Catholic population that need it in order to become a parent. And I think that it's just really wrong for him to. I disagree. I mean, he's allowed to say whatever he wants, but I disagree.
So Francis says the children should not be the basis of a commercial contract. So in that, if any money changes hands, like I give you $10,000 in order to carry this baby for me, that you
Right.
can't, have a commercial contract where you pay someone in order to help you achieve this goal.
Well, that is illegal in the United States. There can be no exchange of money. You can help with medical bills. You can help in that sort of thing, but you cannot literally give money
So this is
for
not
the child.
my understanding is that, and I did have fertility issues. I did not use a surrogate, but I
Mhm.
went through UCSF, and I remember them saying when they're explaining everything, they say if you
Right.
need a surrogate, that's X number of dollars. So I do think there's some type of compensation for
But I thought it was
someone who
for something specific. And maybe I'm completely wrong because
Yeah.
I know a woman who was pregnant,
Mhm.
did not want to continue the pregnancy, but then somebody that she knew really wanted a child. And so
Mhm.
she ended up continuing the pregnancy and let that person adopt the child. And I
Right.
remember them specifically saying, you cannot exchange just cash. Like, I can't just give you, it has to be related to said pregnancy. So I don't know if
Right,
it's
but
different with
that's
that
not a
surrogacy.
surrogacy, that's an
Right.
adoption. When you're
Yeah.
talking about a woman offering up her body to carry your eggs and sperm and your fetus, right? That's
Right. Yeah,
and going through
maybe.
medical procedures and everything else, I think that might be different. And maybe they
I don't
couch
know.
it in that you get paid a certain, amount of money in order to cover your medical costs. I don't know. I don't know.
I just feel like it's so.
Yeah.
Now, again, if we're talking about women being abused and assaulted and used as baby making machines to steal their
Mhm.
children and give them to others, I think we're all against that. But if he's talking about just surrogacy as we know it here in the
Right.
United States,
That's right.
I think he's hands down 100% wrong. And my heart goes out to people who are struggling to get pregnant, who are Catholic, who are
Mhm.
looking into surrogacy and now have this over their head as well.
Yeah.
I just think he needs to be really careful. People's religion means something really strong to them. And to say that this is, what was the word that he used? Like, just awful to do?
You said
That
deplorable was the word.
deplorable?
Mhm,
No.
deplorable.
Maggots are deplorable,
The
not
practice of
people that are.
surrogate motherhood is deplorable.
That's just that, I think that's hurtful, and I wish that he wouldn't have said something like that. That's really, I could not disagree more.
I have read in the past that numbers of Catholics are dwindling and have dwindled in recent years.
Mm,
And I don't know if that's still the case or if more people are turning back to the church. But
right.
I'm thinking if you're trying to attract people in, maybe, not chastising people for wanting to be parents would be a good
Right.
idea.
Well, also, maybe, not chastising people for doing something that you yourself have never done and will never do.
Right.
You're not a father.
Yeah.
I mean, you might be the head of the Catholic Church, but you don't have children. You don't know what
Mhm.
it's like. Like, I don't. You don't know what it's like to be married, right? You don't look at your partner who desperately wants a child, and there is this way in which you can have one, and now the head of your own religion is saying you're deplorable for wanting that. It's ridiculous. It's
I
ridiculous.
Every time something like this happens, just turn back to maybe you should focus in on the Catholic Church and
Yeah.
weeding out pedophiles rather than telling people what they need to do in their marriages.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a
Sorry.
good idea. That's a good idea.
The NFL playoff field is officially set.
It is.
The Baltimore Ravens and the San Francisco 49ers each earned first round byes after securing the top seeds in the AFC and the NFC conferences. In the AFC, the Buffalo Bills earned the second seed and will host the Pittsburgh Steelers in the wild card round. The Kansas City Chiefs are third seed. They'll host the Miami Dolphins, while the Houston Texans are fourth and will welcome the Cleveland Browns to town as well. So there.
Yeah, somebody was saying that they think it's going to be there's so many different scenarios. There's this whole conspiracy, Kim. I don't know if you know this, but so when the logo is announced by the NFL for the Super Bowl, which this year is going to be in Vegas, a lot of people are saying that the colors that they use, so people think that they're script writers for the NFL, all right? They're in cahoots with the refs, and then they make these things happen, and that the colors of the logo kind of telegraph who's going to be in the Super Bowl.
Right.
And this year's it's red and purple. So people are thinking it's going to be the Niners against the Ravens. Now, if that actually happens, I mean, I don't care. The Niners will be in it. I'd be stoked. But that'd be crazy. Some people think it's going to be the Browns. We'll see. If we go back, I'll be so happy.
The Ravens and the Niners are each first round. So it would make sense if there are better teams than the other ones, right?
Yeah, but this logo was put out a while ago.
Oh.
It's not, it hasn't just been released. So that's the whole type of thing is that, they're like, and apparently there's been some history where it has kind of matched up. And I'm like, come on, people, really? Colors are colors are colors at some point. But the Niners, if we go back to the Super Bowl, I just want to win. I just want to go back and win. I just want to go and win.
Are you wearing a 49ers shirt?
Of course I'm wearing a 49ers, even though we lost yesterday, but we didn't put we didn't put our first string quarterback in. McCaffrey wasn't in. Darnold did pretty good. He's going to be a free agent. So everyone's like, oh, he's auditioning for all these other teams. He did pretty good. He ran in a touchdown. And we didn't win. Moody, who's our kicker, missed 2, I think. So we could have won if he could have made his one job happen.
What was the guy's name? Gold? They let go.
Yes. Yeah. And he's retired now. He's not even going to another team. But Moody, I will say if taking the whole season into account, he's done pretty well. I was really hard on him at the beginning, but it's these situations, right? Well, now we lost by a point and you missed your one freaking job. You missed. We didn't win. And now I'm mad at you. So I just really hope we go to the Super Bowl and it doesn't come down to a kick. Because if it does, I'm going to lose my effing mind.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay. Another sports related story. Tiger Woods is parting ways with Nike after nearly a 30-year long partnership.
Really?
In a social media post, the golf star thanked Nike founder Phil Knight for his passion and vision. Woods signed with Nike at the age of 20 when he turned professional. Nike acknowledged Tiger's contribution to golf in a social media post, saying he challenged his competition, stereotypes, conventions, and the old school way of thinking.
So he's not just doing it anymore.
Severed and parting ways. Yep.
Did it say, I'm sorry if you said it, is he going somewhere else or is he just not with Nike anymore?
That's it. No, all he said is not with Nike anymore.
All right.
Lastly, Pearl Jam will headline this year's edition of the Bottle Rock Napa Valley Festival.
I would love to see Pearl Jam in concert. I would love to see them.
Well, if we could fork out a big fat wad,
I can't.
because that's how much it costs to go to Bottle Rock. The Seattle Rockers will be joined by fellow Rock and Roll Hall of Famer Stevie Nicks, Ed Sheeran, and Mana at the top of the bill. Other acts include Megan Thee Stallion, St. Vincent, Queens of the Stone Age, and Nelly. The Music, Wine, Food Festival set to take place May 24th through the 26th, and passes go on sale on Tuesday.
Yeah, it's always my anniversary week because it's Memorial Day weekend that they do it.
Yeah.
So that's like my anniversary weekend. I wonder, my brother and sister-in-law went last year, and my sister-in-law is a huge Eddie Vedder fan. So I don't know if she's going to want to come on out, but I would love to see Pearl Jam is all I'm saying. I think, but no way am I forking up the amount of money you need to go see Bottle Rock. I'm sorry. It's all fun, but no. Because also keep in mind, there's not a lot of places to stay out there. You know what I mean? So, they have hotels, but they get snapped up hella quickly. So between that and Airbnbs and paying the higher prices, you're going to be forking over a very, very pretty penny if you plan to go to Bottle Rock.
It's expensive to stay in Napa. There's only
it's so expensive. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I live pretty close. We're what? I don't know. Half an hour.
That's not bad.
Napa, so
I would not. Yeah, I'd go
after
home.
After a day drinking wine in the sun, you kind of need to not drive somewhere.
I would I would get like a limo or something to take me back then if I was that close. Just if you're gonna splurge, splurge. You know what I'm saying?
That's what. And then see, this is my problem with the tickets too.
No, it's so
this
expensive.
if you're going to splurge, splurge. You said it. I agree
Yes.
with it. So if you're going to take the time to go to Napa and do this whole thing, then you don't want the tickets that land you in the very back of the.
Oh, but it's like thousands of dollars though, then, Kim. If you want to be
That's right.
VIP, yeah.
So if you're gonna go, if
Go.
you're gonna splurge, and you got to get the VIP pass to the wine tent and the front row seats and all this. Stevie Nicks, that's right.
Yeah. Louis says Pearl Jam rocks. I've seen them over 30 times. Wow. Yeah, I would just love.
I won't be going to Bottle Rock.
No, I won't be going to Bottle Rock unless I win tickets. Some radio stations are giving away tickets, so if you want to try, knock yourself out. But we don't have any. So
no, we don't have any tickets.
That wasn't a tease.
God, remember all the times we gave away?
I know.
This report is sponsored by you. Now you're the one giving us stuff. We're not giving you, after a lifetime of giving away stuff.
There you go.
We're like taking stuff.
Yes.
This report is sponsored by you. We are crowdfunded, and we really do appreciate your help. TheNikkiMadoroShow.com is our website. TheNikkiMadoroShow.com. Patreon link is there. PayPal link is there. The super chat, super stickers are open here on the Nikki Medoro Show. And a quick roll of the thank yous.
Yes.
Doug Koch for $5. Thank you so much for the contribution. Spencer
Oh,
Chappie.
thank you.
$5 from Spencer. So appreciated, Spencer. And Cindy for $5. Cindy, thank you for that super sticker. So thanks for all the ways you help us with this show. I'm Kim McAllister. This is the Nikki Medoro Show.
All right. Thank you, Kim. All right. So how many of you have seen the new Netflix series? I think it maybe came out last week. I don't know. It's called You Are What You Eat. And the great thing about it is that it's based out of the Bay Area. It's a Stanford study that they're doing. It's this twin study where they have a sets of identical twins, and they have one on a healthy omnivore diet, which is meat and dairy, and then one goes vegan, which was really interesting, Kim, because they didn't want to go vegetarian. They didn't want to have any sort of dairy or no animal products. Okay. And it's not a spoiler alert, because I think anybody who's anybody understands that if you cut out meat and dairy from your diet, it's going to help you. But what was surprising was how quickly the changes in the body happened. This was only an 8-week study. Okay. So now I'm not trying to spoil this. You should totally watch it. But what surprised me was how I felt watching. Okay, I've said it here. I've said it on KGO. I am a meat eater. And I honestly don't apologize for it, because it is part of the American diet. It's part of the human diet, is to eat meat. It is. You can tell me anything you want, but in current society, meat is a part of our diet. After watching You Are What You Eat on Netflix, I'm going to make a conscious decision to eat less meat. And it's not like I learned anything radically new, but the people that they had on, the images of the food really surprised me. And here was another thing that surprised me that I'm so guilty of is, and I think that we talked about this before, chicken, meat is the only item in the grocery store that they could sell that knowingly has pathogens on it, like E. coli and salmonella.
Why is that?
So it's allowed at a certain percentage.
Okay.
And it's because there was a huge, this happened like years ago, where there were lawsuits and everything like that. People got sick from E. coli and whatever, but it's because they can't get it out of the farms. There's no way to mechanically deal with all the chickens and the cows and everything without splashing feces, bacteria, and whatever on the meat. Okay. So there's no way of doing that. And so they allow, and I'm using this in quotes, under the assumption that we, the consumer, cook our meat enough and wash our hands and wash our surfaces and things like that. You should always assume, being an American, that when you are cooking with raw meat, that you are coming in contact with E. coli and salmonella. That's basically the message that the meat industry is giving you, is that, oh, you just cook your meat, you wash your hands, you wash your surfaces, and you'll be fine. So there's this scene where they use something called glow germ, and they put it on chicken, uncooked chicken, okay? And what it does is, you can't see it, but then when you shine a black light, you can see all the places where you touched in the kitchen that were still contaminated with this glow germ, which is supposed to be like,
God.
oh my God. Oh my God. I don't even want to welcome raw chicken in my kitchen because I'm watching these women and they were washing their hands. They washed their hands before, they washed their hands after touching the chicken, but it's one of these, elbow using my finger to open a drawer. And you see it everywhere. Okay. So
well, do they clean the kitchen before they do the glow light? Like, do they allow you to wipe up with Clorox
so this
wipes
was
on the
this
counters
was
and
a
everything?
this was like I don't think it was there. I don't know if it was their kitchen. It was one of the, but yeah, I think it was like controlled. Everything was clean, and then they put the glow germ on it, and you saw it. Okay, and exactly, mama of 3 boys. That is why you should not wash chicken. All you chicken washers out there. On one hand, I understand after all the pathogen thing that I was just talking about, people may want to wash their chicken. All you are doing is spraying salmonella, E. coli, whatever the hell's on your chicken, all over your sink. And for those of you, I wipe it down. Now you're not cleaning enough. But anyways, meat in this country is gross. It's just disgusting. There's no way unless you are, and then the labeling of cage free and what that means and whatever. I'm just saying, combine all of that and what you'll learn in this series with the health impacts of meat and dairy on your diet. It will make anybody want to move away from it. We were talking last week about ultra processed foods. Most food is processed unless you're eating like a whole apple or whatever, right? But ultra processed, where there's like 15 million ingredients and none of them you can find in a pantry type of thing. Moving away from that and away from meat and dairy is something that you really should want to do. And I think that the way to really force, and I hate using that word because I do think that making changes to diet should be, a personal decision, not forced on you. But I do think unhealthy food should be expensive. I just do. I think that there's nothing wrong. If someone's like, what, you expect people to pay $15 for a Big Mac? Sure. Then they eat less Big Macs, right? Like you shouldn't eat a lot of Big Macs. Big Macs shouldn't be cheap. You know what should be cheap? Fruits and vegetables, the things that they tell us that we need to eat more of, those should be cheap. And then the most harmful things should be expensive. Right. That makes sense to me. And if anybody disagrees, explain to me why. Because PepsiCo is having a bunch of its products pulled because it's too expensive. And I don't see this as bad news. So there's this global supermarket chain, Carrefour. I'm pronouncing it that way. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. And it says it's going to stop selling PepsiCo products in its stores in France, Belgium, Spain, and Italy over price increases for popular items like Lay's potato chips, Quaker Oats, Lipton iced tea, and Pepsi soda. It says obviously the cost of living is going up because of inflation and whatever. Oh my God, it's not just in the United States. No. Pepsi products will still be on the shelves, in recent days, but they're saying they're going to start pulling them out of the store. Also, which I always say, profits are up, though higher prices have dragged down sales as people trade down to cheaper brands. And so PepsiCo is like kind of using that as an excuse. But does anybody, and you guys can let me know in the comments, is there something fundamentally wrong with charging people more for unhealthy items? Because the only thing I can come up with, which is true, is people live in food deserts. And if you don't know what a food desert is, it's low-income areas where they're miles and miles and miles and miles and miles away from a grocery store. So they go to convenience stores with produce, right? So there's no apples or spinach or bell peppers or anything like that, right? So they go to the convenience store. Maybe there's an apple. Maybe there's a banana, right? You see them like right on the counter.
There's Cheez-Its and Doritos.
Exactly. Yeah. And so if that's where you're getting your food, I could see some people being like, well, I need to eat something. And this is all that's offered here. And now everything is going up. But I still say that that's not enough.
Well, historically, it is more expensive to eat healthy. And it's cheaper. The crap is cheaper, right?
Right.
Now, lately, prices have been going up for everything. So I don't know if that's the case.
Yeah.
I don't know anymore if it's all equal or what.
Well, I think that it matters how you buy. I think that if you're going to start eating less convenient food, right? Less ultra processed, prepackaged food, then you're obviously going to be making your food. And I do think that if you buy and maybe meal plan, so I'm going to make this and then I'm going to use, I apologize. My landscapers are here. If you're going to, I'm going to make a whole chicken tonight and then I'm going to take the carcass and make that into a soup. You know what I'm saying? Like if you do so, then obviously it's going to be cheaper. I can't imagine it's not going to be cheaper that way. But you have to obviously put the effort in, and the effort, in my opinion, is the crux of the problem because people don't want to. I'm busy. I don't have time to cook like today. It is the bane of my existence, Kim, to figure out what we're going to eat for dinner every night. I don't know. And now that I've watched this freaking series, I don't know what to serve my kids anymore. Like I don't. And I'll just on a personal level, watching this series and what it does to your microbiome.
Yeah.
Having a child with Crohn's, the guilt I feel like that maybe I did something to her because I wasn't, you know what I mean? But it gets into your mind. It's like, oh my God, and although I know that, Crohn's is an autoimmune disease and there's no rhyme or reason necessarily for getting it. There is a big guilt that I felt watching this series and being like, shoot, I'm allowing my daughter to eat crap, even though I know it might not have caused her Crohn's, but it can't help. Right. And then you get pushback from these friggin' kids, right? Well, I make this great, healthy, not vegan, but healthier dinner. And then they don't want to eat it. Right. I want the pizza. I want, the chicken nuggets. I want this, that, and the other. I know I'm the parent. I also need to feed my kid. And so it's so difficult nowadays to do the right thing. Jim says, make your own hummus, roast your own. Oh,
funny. I keep clicking on the same one. I'm like, make your own hummus. How do you do that?
Oh, it's so easy, Kim. Yeah. So you just get chickpeas.
Okay.
And you blend them and you put seasonings. Hummus actually is really, really easy to make.
Okay.
It's not hard to make hummus. I've never done it. I know people that do it and it's not hard. Yeah. You can roast your own root vegetables, drizzle with olive oil. It's very easy and cheap. Square says Costco roasted chicken is good. Yes, but again, I think if you're watching like the seasonings and everything, like if you want to know how much butter and stuff, like if you're trying to watch it that way, I would making a whole chicken at home is not hard. I love roasting a whole chicken. It's really freaking easy. It is not difficult. You can go, this is my tip and trick if you want it. If you go to your butcher to get a whole chicken, ask them to spatchcock it for you. Okay, where they cut out the spine and they'll give you the bones and everything so you can make soup or whatever. And it's flat and it is the best way to make a whole chicken because it cooks quicker. You get more of that crispy skin. You don't have to worry about like kind of the soggy bottom. It's really, really good. So again, you just have to think ahead. Aussie Rule says, I blend juice, smoothies, soup, not as expensive as frozen and junk foods. And it's definitely more healthy.
Awesome.
Absolutely. And here's something to know though. If you are trying to lose weight, eating your fruits and vegetables is 110 times better than making it into a smoothie, unless you won't eat them. And then obviously having the smoothie is better. But did you know that if you take fruit specifically, I'm going to take vegetables out of it. If you take fruit specifically and you blend it, it has a higher like glycemic index or whatever, like sugar content, because blending, you skip the digestive process, which slows the amount of sugar and everything else that's, put into your body at one time. Yeah. And so you really should try to eat your food instead of blending your food, unless you're not going to do it at all. And then obviously get it in your body in some way, shape or form. So yeah.
I interviewed the director of public health for San Francisco a long time ago. It was regarding a story for the soda tax, the sugar tax.
Yes, exactly.
But and I have it on tape somewhere, such a good explanation of him telling me how if you drink your sugar, it's like mainlining sugar.
Yes.
It's a whole different thing than if you eat your sugar. So even if, and this is a horrible example, but eating Oreos is better than drinking a Coke. Right. Yes. Because of the way it affects your body when you take that hit of sugar and what it does inside of you.
Yep.
It's just a completely different situation.
Absolutely. I mean, there is something like your saliva is even incorporated, like breaking it down and what it triggers in your brain and then the digestive process and how quickly. And also, obviously, the act of eating slows you down. If I'm drinking it, I can be done in 2 minutes. If I had to eat my whole salad instead of blending it, it's going to take longer. And the longer it takes you to eat, the fuller you feel. You don't eat as much, all those sorts of things. So, I'm not a soda drinker, so it doesn't really impact me in that way. But, Other things I like to eat, and don't get me wrong, I like sugary stuff. I like candies and cakes and cookies and things like that. Ms. Organic says, my daughter will drink my smoothies, but not eat the same volume of fruit ever. Of course not. I mean, think about it. I mean, think about all the fruit you put into a smoothie to get a glass, right? Remember Dylan last week, he made that green smoothie. Eating eating a whole banana, half a cup of Greek yogurt, a half a cup to 3/4 of a cup of spinach, half a cup of milk. If I put that all in front of me and ate it, I'd be extremely full. And it would have taken me a hell of a long time to eat all of that. I made a smoothie and I pounded it in a minute. So yeah, obviously. Mama Three Boys says, I make my own sauces, dressings, jams, yogurt, saves me money. However, I've not had culinary training and I understand not everybody has the time. She has had culinary training and not everybody has the time and skills to do so. Yeah, but I think you could start. I really, honestly, I'm not trying to do a commercial for this Netflix, and I know not everybody has Netflix anymore, so hopefully it's released on other things. But, you are what you eat. The other thing about, just trying to change your diet, they also talked about the visceral fat. And I don't know if you guys know what that is, but that's the fat between your organs. And so the more that it gets, it pushes your organs. You've seen those like inside of the body things and all. And again, like, don't pay attention to the weight on the scale. Don't pay attention to the BMI, right? Because, they can have somebody that's a bodybuild, muscly, really high weight, right? But their visceral fat and everything else is really low. But on a BMI, they'd be obese. Like, it doesn't just break down to one number.
They say visceral fat is good or bad.
Bad. You do not want the fat between the organs. Okay. So if you look at, like, let's just say your stomach and your colon and your intestines and everything like that, it's like these pockets of fat. They're in between the organs. And then if you have more and more and more, then it's pushing the organs literally out of the way, which causes problems. And of course you have to think about your arteries and your high blood pressure and all sorts of things. Right. So I say all of that to mean I'm eating less meat. And I'm not trying. And again, I already told you guys, like, one of my New Year's resolutions was to move more. Got my Fitbit on, put it on every morning. Yesterday was really bad. I didn't move for crap yesterday. But I'm trying to move more.
Are you moving more?
I am. It's making me go to the gym more, right? Because I can get in my 10,000 steps easy if I go to the gym, right? But yesterday I sat on my ass and I watched football all day. I think if I got 2,000 steps in yesterday, I didn't do anything yesterday. So yeah, I was bad yesterday, but I am moving more and I'm going to make a more conscious effort. There's this cheese company because that was mentioned and they're based in the Bay Area, Miyoko's, I think it's called. And they make cheese out of cashews.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to give it a shot. Maybe I'll do that for the Friday food. I'm going to try to make something. I don't know if this sounds appetizing to anybody because I tried describing it to my husband last night and he's all, that sounds disgusting. I was like, but no, it looks really good. So what is the number one cheese in your opinion sold in the United States? It might even be the world, but I'll just say the United States definitely.
Cheddar?
Nope.
Jack?
Nope. Think. What do we put cheese on?
A mozzarella.
Because of pizza. No. They say pizza, the amount of pizza that we eat is kind of gross, but I'm that way. I eat cheese every single day and mozzarella is my favorite cheese. It's hands down my favorite cheese. But Miyoko's makes a liquid mozzarella that you kind of drizzle on an uncooked crust and then bake it and it settles, because that's the thing with some of these cheeses is the meltability of it. And so they designed this like liquid cheese that you're supposed to use to make pizzas and stuff. And you put it in the oven and it settles. And then when you cut it, it looks just like mozzarella cheese. And that I think is the point. You can't think too much about it. If it tastes good and it melts and it gives you, and it's everything else.
Yeah.
Then why not? Right. So I'm going to give it a shot and I'll do that for my Friday food segment. I'll try to make a pizza with them. If I could find it, I'll go to Trader Joe's or Target or wherever the hell they're
apparently it's according to the website I was just looking at, it's all over the place. And they have
it's everywhere.
Plant milk butter as well.
Yeah, they have butter and everything. And apparently the woman that was mentioned on the series, because I was Googling it also, I guess she's not the CEO. The company's had some discrimination headlines or something. So they've had some things going on, but that doesn't change the fact that they make this cashew cheese that I have never in the history of ever. I'm a rat. Like, I eat cheese all of the time. I've never tried cashew cheese. Somebody was saying that it's really, really good. So I'll give it a try and we'll see if I can make the change. I started taking oat milk in my Starbucks. I just gave it a shot and it wasn't bad. So I think I'm going to stick with that. Cashews also use, a fraction of the water that, let's say, cows especially use.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Bertastic says it's amazing. I'm going to give it a shot. I've never heard of it before. Because again, total carnivore. I'm not an omnivore. I'm a carnivore. I eat. I am animal based. You cut me open, it'll moo. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm going to give it a shot. If you guys have any recommendations and stuff, send them to me because I really am going to make a conscious effort to move away from animal products. It's gross. Watch this series. You are what you eat. It was very eye opening. It's nothing that I've never heard before, but I don't know. It hit home with me this time. And
I need to go clean my kitchen with a Clorox wipe. Like,
exactly.
fully.
Oh God. I don't know.
Yeah.
Watch it. I can't even stress enough how you're going to be after it. It's really, really hard. All right. That's the show. We'll see you tomorrow. Click the thumbs up button. Again, please contribute to our Patreon. We're 100% crowdfunded. TheNikkiMedoroShow.com. TheNikkiMedoroShow.com. If you want to PayPal, hit the send button at PayPal.com and send it to TheNikkiMedoroShow@gmail.com. And again, I appreciate all of you, Cindy, Spencer, and Doug, for coming in with the super chat donations. You guys are excellent. I love you. Thank you so much, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're proud, like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.